Hi everybody, it's Refresh, and I'm here to bring you a battle between two Rivals of Ixalan sealed decks and the Defeat a God challenge deck from Journey to Nyx. We'll be playing with 3 hero cards. The Harvester, which will let you draw a card and then discard a card each turn. The Explorer, which will let the sealed decks play 2 lands each turn. And the Vanquisher, which will begin the decks with 1 extra card and then will allow them to hold 1 extra card. We'll be playing on normal difficulty with 3 Rollicking Throngs, and we'll start with 8 cards apiece. Naya has a Hardy Veteran, a Pounce, Crash the Ramparts, Fanatical Firebrand, Rekindling Phoenix, Fathom Fleet, Firebrand, Jungleborn Pioneer, and Forest. This is not enough lands, so we will ship this. Because this is multiplayer, we'll get 1 free mulligan to 8. Naya has a Raging Swordtooth, a Mountain, a Guildcrow Stalker, a Stormfleet Swashbuckler, a Mountain, a Luminous Bonds, Hardy Veteran, and Forest. This is much better. We'll go ahead and keep this. Grixis has a Stormfleet Aerialist, Swamp, Marauding Looter, Mutiny, Swaggering Corsair, Island, Windstrider, and Mountain. This is okay. It's worth keeping. So we'll begin. Turn number 1. We'll play a Forest and a Mountain, and then we'll play a Stormfleet Swashbuckler, and then over here we'll play a Mountain and an Island, and then we will pass the turn. Xenagos will play 2 cards. The first card is Dance of Panic. As long as 5 or more Revelers on the battlefield, all Revelers have haste and attack each turn if able. So we'll keep that in mind. And then Xenagos will play Impulsive Charge. At the beginning of combat this turn, all Revelers gain haste until end of turn and attack this combat if able. Alright. The 3 Rollicking Throngs are going to go on the attack. One of them will bounce into the Stormfleet Swashbuckler, the other 2 will hit us for 2, taking us to 18. And then we'll pass turn. We'll use the Harvester. Naya will draw a Hardy Veteran. Grixis will draw a Tali Primal Storm. We will discard the Windstrider. And we will discard the Guildgrove Stalker. And then we'll untap. Draw. Naya draws a Mutiny. Grixis draws a Suncaller Raptor. Naya will play a Mountain. Grixis will play a Swamp. Naya will play Mutiny, causing Xenagos instead to kill one of his Rollicking Throng. Grixis will play a Suncaller Raptor. And then Naya will play a Hardy Veteran. And then we'll pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos' Rollicking Throngs will untap. And we'll play 2 cards. The first being Impulsive Charge. At the beginning of combat this turn, all Revelers gain haste until end of turn and attack this combat if able. And we'll also play an Impulsive Destruction. Each player may sacrifice an artifact or enchantment. Impulsive Destruction deals 3 damage to each player who didn't sacrifice a permanent this way. We have none to sacrifice, so we will take 6 damage and go to 12. At the end of the turn, we will use the Harvester. Naya will draw a Colossal Dreadmaw. Grixis will draw a Deadeye Brawler. We will discard Tali Primal Storm and Colossal Dreadmaw. Sadly, we have to discard our biggest creatures because we're short on lands. We'll untap. We'll draw. Naya draws a Orazca Raptor. Grixis draws a Mountain. We'll go ahead and play the Mountain. And then we will go on the attack. The Suncaller Raptor and the Hardy Veteran will attack a Rollicking Throng, defeating it. On the second main phase, we'll play a Deadeye Brawler, and we will play another Hardy Veteran. And then we'll pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will play 2 cards, the first being an Ecstatic Piper. When Ecstatic Piper enters the battlefield, Xenagos Ascended attacks this turn if able, and a second Ecstatic Piper. So Xenagos Ascended will attack this turn if able. We'll go ahead and take the 6 and go to 6, and then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Naya will draw a Plains. Grixis will draw an Orazca Raptor. We will discard a Stormfleet Aerialist, and we will discard the Raging Swordtooth. And then we will untap. We'll draw. Naya draws a Stone Quarry. Grixis draws a Depths of Desire. And then I think we can win this. So what we have to do is we'll attack the 2 Ecstatic Pipers with the Hardy Veteran, and the Deadeye Brawler will attack the Rollicking Throng. That will kill all 3 of them. We will gain 8 life to go back up to 14, and then we will cast Depth of Desire on Xenagos Ascended, which will return it to the hand, which removes it from the battlefield. And when Xenagos Ascended leaves the battlefield, the players win the game. So the Rivals of Ixalan sealed decks actually do a good job defeating Xenagos Ascended this game. We'll be back for Game 2 against a slightly more difficult Xenagos Ascended. Game 2, we're going up against a more difficult Xenagos Ascended with 4 Rollicking Throngs starting on the battlefield. But we'll draw 8, and we'll see how it goes. Naya draws an Araska Raptor, Plains, Snapping Sailback, Forest, Fathom Fleet Firebrand, Forest, Raging Swordtooth, and Mountain. Let's get a complement of lands and spells, we'll keep that. Grixis gets a Marauding Looter, Island, Mountain, Mountain, Swamp, Swaggering Corsair, Island, and Depth of Desire. It's not a great mix, but I'm not really in the place to try to get out of it, so we'll keep it. Turn 1, we'll play a Forest and a Mountain for Naya, and we'll play a Fathom Fleet Firebrand. Grixis will play a Island and a Mountain, and we'll pass. We'll go to Xenagos. Xenagos will play the top 2 cards, the first one being Serpent Dancers. It is a Reveler with Death Touch. When it leaves the battlefield, we get to draw a card, and we'll also play Impulsive Charge. At the beginning of combat this turn, all Revelers gain haste until end of turn and attack this combat if able. So we are being attacked by all of the Rollicking Throngs and the Serpent Dancers. Will block one of the Rollicking Throngs and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage to go to 15. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Naya will draw a Forest. Grixis will draw a Mutiny. We're definitely keeping the Mutiny, and we will discard the Swamp. Alright, untap. Oh, and we'll discard a Forest. Naya draws a Frilled Death Spitter, and Grixis draws a Mountain. We will play an Island and a Mountain on this side, and on this side we will play a Forest and a Plains. There's no point in attacking at this particular moment, so we will play a Marauding Looter on this side, and we will play the Frilled Death Spitter on this side, and then we will pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will untap. I will play 2 cards, the first one being Xenagos Scorn. Xenagos gains Trample until end of turn and attacks if able, and a Madden Oreade. As long as 5 or more Revelers on the battlefield, Madden Oreade attacks each turn if able. Alright, so Xenagos is attacking, and the Oreade is attacking. We will not block Xenagos, but I think we're going to have to put one of these creatures in front of the Oreade, and it's going to be the Fathom Fleet Firebrand. So, this will trade with the Oreade. Xenagos will hit us for 6. So we'll lose 6 life and go to 9. And then the Firebrand and the Oreade will both perish. When the Oreade dies, we will gain 6 life and go back up to 15. At the end of the turn, we will use the Harvester. Naya will draw a Guildgrove Stalker. Grixis will draw a Hornswoggle. We will chuck the Hornswoggle and the Guildgrove Stalker, and then we'll untap. Naya will draw a Forest. Grixis will draw a Swamp. Grixis will play the Swamp and the Island. Naya will play the Forest. We will attack with the Marauding Looter into a Rollicking Throng and the Frilled Death Spitter into a Rollicking Throng as well. That will kill 2 Rollicking Throngs, and the Frilled Death Spitter will deal 2 damage to another Rollicking Throng off of its Enraged trigger. And then we will play 1 Swaggering Corsair, and because of the raid trigger, it will gain a +1/+1 counter. We will play Mutiny, causing Xenagos to kill its Serpent Dancers, or deal 6 damage to its Serpent Dancers, killing it, and then we'll each draw a card. That is a Mountain here, and a Swaggering Corsair here. We'll play the Mountain, and then we will pass the turn. Xenagos will untap. We'll play 2 cards, the first one being an Ecstatic Piper. When it enters the battlefield, Xenagos Ascended attacks its turn if able, and Rip to Pieces. At the beginning of combat this turn, each Reveler deals 1 damage to each player and each creature those players control. That's exceptionally bad. Okay, at the beginning of combat, 3 Revelers will deal 3 damage to each creature, as well as 6 damage to the players. So we will take 6 and go to 9. 3 damage. Oh, we got to loot at the end of this turn with the Marauding Looter. Let's not forget to do that. We'll draw the Island, and then we will discard the Island. Before damage happens, we'll go ahead and play the Snapping Sailback in Flash mode. It will take 3 damage as well. The Frilled Death Spitter will die. The Marauding Looter, and the Swaggering Corsair will all die. The Frilled Death Spitter, when it is dealt damage, it will deal 2 damage back to the Ecstatic Piper, killing it as well, giving us 4 life to go up to 13. And then Xenagos Ascended will attack. Snapping Sealback has a counter from the damage that it took, but we will not block Xenagos. We will take all the damage and go back down to 7, putting us in a precarious position. And then we will use the Harvester, which will let us draw. We'll Crash the Ramparts here, and in Island here, we will discard the Island. We will discard the Crash the Ramparts. And then we'll untap, draw. Naya draws a Hardy Veteran. Grixis draws a Soul of the Rapids. We will attack with the Snapping Sealback into a Rollicking Throng, killing it. Snapping Sealback, having taken damage, will get a counter. Then we will play the Raging Swordtooth. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to every creature, including the Rollicking Throng, Xenagos, and the Snapping Sealback, which will get another counter. And then we will play the Soul of the Rapids on this side. And then we'll pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will untap and will play the top 2 cards. Impulsive Charge. At the beginning of combat this turn, all revelers gain haste until end of turn and attack this combat if able. And then Impulsive Return. Return 2 cards in the Ecstatic Piper from Xenagos' graveyard to the battlefield at the beginning of combat this turn. Impulsive Return deals damage to each player equal to the number of revelers on the battlefield. We're going to return the 1 Ecstatic Piper that's in the graveyard. At the beginning of combat this turn, the Ecstatic Piper and the Rollicking Throng are going to deal 4 damage to the players, taking them to 3. And then everybody will attack. At 3 health, we actually do have to block everybody. So we'll block the Rollicking Throng with the Soul of the Rapids. No, we have to block the Ecstatic Piper with the Soul of the Rapids, and Xenagos Ascended with the Raging Swordtooth. In this case, we'll take 2 damage and go to 1. Raging Swordtooth will die. Soul of the Rapids will trade with the Ecstatic Piper, gaining us 4 life to go back up to 6. And then we will loot at the end of the turn. Naya draws a Fathom Fleet Firebrand. Grixis draws a Mountain. We will untap. I think we just got this. Naya will draw a Mountain. Grixis will draw an Island. We'll go ahead and play the Mountain and the Island, and we'll play this Mountain. And this is how we win. We attack the Rollicking Throng with the Snapping Sealback, which will kill the Rollicking Throng. The Snapping Sealback will get another counter, and then we will play Depths of Desire on Xenagos, returning it to Xenagos' own hand, which will remove it from the battlefield, winning us the game. And the Rivals of Ixalan decks managed to squeak out this victory just barely. Let me know if you saw any misplays or what you thought about the games, if you have any questions about anything that you saw. If you enjoyed this video, hit like. Eventually I'll be moving on to Dominaria sealed decks. And if you'd like to see that video or any further videos, go ahead and hit subscribe. Until then, this was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.